All right, let's kick off the show. What do you say?
So 40 years, Bill. This is a long time to be in any business, but the wedding industry, it's legendary. And no one knows how styles have changed over the past 4 decades like this guy.
Yeah, this guy is Michael Nolte, wedding guru whose store Nolte's Bridal was recently honored as one of the top 10 salons in the U.S. 40 years.
I know. I can't believe it.
That's incredible. What kind of sets you out on this unique career path?
Well, the fact that it's 40 years and I'm not in a 12-step program right now says, hello, my name is Michael, I'm addicted to weddings. Well, one of my undergrads is in photojournalism, and so all through school I used to shoot weddings. Law, supply, and demand was there because my friends were poor and I was cheap. And so I could look through the lens of a camera and I could say, man, just a little help, this could have been so much nicer. And it kind of became wedding coordinating before I knew it. Then I also did an internship with a leading florist, and before I was finished with that part of it, I worked at 7 shops before I opened my own. Then when I opened the very first store in 1980, I leased a little space in the very leading bridal salon in Columbia, Missouri. Always want to be associated with the higher end, you know, the best. And in a couple of years, I bought it out.
There it is.
There we go.
And then it's been that. What's one of the smartest things that you learned when you got started? What kind of got you going there?
Well, I was advised by the president of National Bridal Service at that time to say it's better to be important to a few rather than nobody to everybody. And so the vendors that I hire now for floral or photography or bands or catering, whatever, they just work so hard for my brides because I'm important to them. The other good thing I did is I hired a really good accountant and CPA because I have a total right brain and not left brain, and an orange jumpsuit is just not a good color on me.
No, they don't appreciate it when you don't pay your taxes every year.
No,
you know?
I need to stay. I stay in the black and out of orange.
There you go. For over 4 decades, you had to have some really kind of pinch yourself moments. Is this really happening right now? Am I really taking care of one of the most important days of these people's lives?
Yeah, it was. I think the first time that I was asked to decorate the governor's mansion in Jefferson City for the holidays and all the state entertaining, that was like, I cannot believe that I'm doing this. And then the very first wedding that happened at the governor's mansion, I was the coordinator for. Then later than that, I dressed, as you can see on the screen right now, Mrs. Brownback, First Lady of State of Kansas, for both of her inaugural balls. So that kind of dressed some Miss Americas and some high notable brides, lots of weddings and magazines. Those are kind of pinch myself moments.
Yeah, kind of just wild to look back and see that your influence has been there in some of these remarkable events here in the Midwest, well, in the country. But so you mentioned the store in Columbia. How many different stores have you had over the last 40 years?
A total of 7.
Okay.
And the store that I'm in now, I've had 3 locations within Hawthorne Plaza, which is at 119th and Row, and just built another one just a year and a half ago, and I hope it's my final one, and I love it the most.
And there was one up in Briarcliff too, right?
Yeah. That was a gorgeous store too. I mean, it had black and white marble floors and crystal chandeliers, but I was running back and forth, sometimes twice a day. And I said, you know, it'd be better to have all the inventory and one owner in one location.
Let's talk about trends and how they've changed. What's something that was really big back in the 80s that maybe we don't see as much of anymore?
Well, we could start with whatever picture you want to roll, but I could tell you there was baby's breath like crazy.
Baby's breath, there it is.
Coming down the aisle, everybody had baby's breath. Very large bouquets, puffy sleeves on bridesmaids' dresses. That was a big thing for a long. There's puffy sleeves.
Oh, those colors, the pinks.
Yeah, hats for brides were very important back then, and and headpieces for bridesmaids in general. These girls were there in pillbox hats and tea-length dresses for bridesmaids with matching hose, and oh my gosh, nobody would ever do that now.
My goodness. What about for the fellas?
Well, the big thing in the early 80s was to always set the groom apart from the rest of the groomsmen. And that oftentimes meant an all white or an all ivory tuxedo.
So the groomsmen would wear it all black and then the groom would be in white tuxedo?
All white, yeah, there's a picture of that there. And unfortunately, I didn't, that is not me, but I was one of those guilty culprits. And on my wedding, which was in the middle of the afternoon, I'm in an ivory tailcoat with a ruffled shirt, and I'm just one click away from looking like Barry Manilow. Not a good thing.
And real quick, we only have a few seconds left. Let's talk about wedding cakes. I know those have come a long way. I remember my parents had a fountain in there.
Oh, of course. Well, they had to have a really cool hip cake. Mine did too. Fountains underneath all wedding cakes. That was the really classy cake. And then sometimes you'd have a cake topper that wouldn't be necessarily the bride and groom. I remember one time there was a little plastic chapel at the top, and you lighted a votive candle in there, and the hot air made the candle ring in the top of the cake.
Oh, wow.
So we had bridges with little dolls dressed up like bridesmaids and groomsmen. But bigger the cake, the showier the wedding.
Well, like I said, I feel like you and I could chit-chat here for the rest of the show, but we're out of time. But congratulations on 40 years. It's really fantastic. And so we always appreciate having you here on the show every time we get a chance to. So, Michael, thank you again very much.
My pleasure. Thanks, Bill.